people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Clarissa Shields was on a podcast. I think this is a while back, but it's kind of been brought to everyone's attention again, where she said that she could beat up Romero, who is the current world champion in the welterweight division. And she said she could beat him. And Shannon Sharp, who's a big personality in America, former NFL player, Hall of Famer, had Clarissa on his show, and he went back and forth with her like, no, like, stop. Like, you would get stopped by Rolly Romero. You're a fantastic female boxer. We're going to give you all the plaudits in the world, all the accolades. You may be the greatest of all time, but you're talking about beating a 147-pound world champion who last beat Ryan Garcia. Let's show Rolly some respect. I think it's quite disrespectful to Rolly.
I think it's very disrespectful, and I think that she's playing a very, very dangerous game, because there's going to come a time where someone's going to be delusional enough to try and put that fight on, and she will get seriously hurt. Or not maybe that fight on, her against the man. And that, I don't want to see it at all. I truthfully do not want to see it, because Clarissa Shields can think what she likes. If she fought the number 100 ranked welterweight in the world, he'd iron her out in about a round or two.
Of course he would. She sparred an unheralded lightweight with only about 3 or 4 professional bouts at the time that she sparred him, and he knocked her on her ass. Just imagine if she fought a guy who's a little bigger. I don't think Clarissa Shields, in making these claims that she can beat a Rolly Romero or beat a Keith Thurman, are having the desired effect. I think she wants people to look at her as being big and bad, and look at this woman who can take on the men. That, when it's just making her seem all the more delusional to the spectators. And what is this spectator sport if you actually got what you wanted, what you claimed to want? So obviously disrespectful to Rolly Romero, to Keith Thurman, in a society where generally it's frowned upon for a man to strike a woman, so these men are not at liberty to defend themselves and give her the energy that she's giving them. But it's not only that, it's morbid curiosity. If you keep saying this, some interested party with some money might actually try to put you in the ring with a man. And then what? It's not like it never happened, because it has. Back in October of 1994, undefeated kickboxing champion Lucia Riker was knocked out in the second round by male Thai fighter Somchai Jaidi in a Muay Thai exhibition match in Amsterdam. Despite her 36-0 record, she lost to the male fighter in a highly unusual cross-gender contest, and Somchai was not her male equivalent in men's kickboxing, what she was in women's kickboxing and women's boxing. Widely regarded as one of the best women fighters women combat sports have ever seen, it didn't matter when she fought an unheralded man who knocked her out in 2 rounds. This is playing with fire. Women's boxing has progressed leaps and bounds in the last 10 years, the big women's boxing boom of the last decade. But Clarissa Shields, if she's not careful, she's going to end up setting the sport back. It's been difficult enough to get to this point, and market the women fighters as being just as entertaining and just as capable as the men, without actually having the women challenge the men, because nobody else but Clarissa Shields is doing this. And if some interested party takes her up on her offer and tries to stage such a fight, it doesn't just hurt her and her reputation, it hurts the image of the sport, because Clarissa Shields is intended to be one of the best women boxers around. If she goes in there and gets trounced, gets embarrassed by some unheralded man, it's going to make the whole sport look bad. And every woman in it, all because of her inflated sense of self, her ego, that's gone unchecked far too long. Serena and Venus Williams, the 2 famous tennis players, the 2 sisters, once said they would beat a male tennis player ranked outside of the top 200. A man ranked 203 accepted the challenge and beat Serena 6-1, then beat Venus 6-2 the same day. Reacting to this story, Amandia Serrano said, "Oh wow, interesting. I wasn't aware of this. Cool little detail to know. Keep my punk ass in my lane." Joking. But Amanda Serrano has never behaved the way that Clarissa Shields has behaved. Amanda Serrano, for all of her accolades, all of her awards, and her Hall of Fame career, she never took it upon herself to start challenging men. Neither did Katie Taylor or any of the famous women boxers that have come up in the last 10, 20 years. It's really only Clarissa mounting these unprovoked attacks at what are her male counterparts for no other reason than to aggrandize herself. As if she doesn't do that enough already. So attention-starved, she seems to revel in whatever attention she gets, good or bad. In this instance, mostly bad. Most people are having an adverse reaction to her being the provocateur, the antagonist. Because as stated, it's disrespectful to Rowley, it's disrespectful to Keith Thurman, disrespectful to societal norms, poking the bear like this in a society that mostly frowns upon men striking women. You're trying to pick a fight with the men? Careful what you wish for. They're fatigued with her. They're tired of Clarissa Shields' shenanigans. Everybody is. So as stated, I don't think it's having the desired effect where she wants to appear big and bad and tough that she can fight the men. The men are thinking, what the hell is wrong with this broad? Elsewhere in the world of boxing, Spencer Brown's Goldstar to be the lead promoter for Fury versus Makhmudov, where initially we were led to believe it was going to be Zuffa at the helm of the promotion. Spencer Brown will be the lead promoter for the upcoming Tyson Fury versus Arslanbek Makhmudov show on April 11th at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium in London, England. Brown, who's long worked in a managerial role with Fury, will today be approved for an official British promoter's license by the British Boxing Board of Control. Boxing Scene can now confirm. Though of course, aside from what's on paper, we know who's really behind this event and who's paying for it, and it's not Spencer Brown. So why are they doing this, and why do they want Spencer to appear to be the lead promoter? The founder of Goldstar Promotions, which originally specialized in celebrity dinner events, has made huge strides in boxing in recent years. A close ally of Ring Magazine owner Turki El Sheikh, Brown is first listed as a promoter on a major boxing event in December of 2023 when he was one of the several involved in the Saudi Arabia show that was topped by Joseph Parker outpointing Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua beating Otto Wallin. Since then, Brown has worked in an official capacity on 3 further Ring Magazine Riyadh season events while also making inroads into the Aussie market. In January, alongside Queensberry Promotions, he was involved in Agit Kabayel's homecoming win over Damien Nieba in Germany. Brown and Goldstar have enjoyed a fruitful relationship with Queensberry, the UK promoters of Fury, since 2018. Boxing Scene understands that Queensberry, alongside Top Rank in the US, remain the official promoters of the former heavyweight champion. Frank Warren's Queensberry, however, will not be involved in the on-ground operation of this forthcoming event. Their relationship with Goldstar is believed to remain healthy. Yeah, that belief is subject to change based on these recent developments. Such a scenario is not unusual. One can look at Anthony Joshua's most recent fight as a case in point. Joshua, very much a matchroom promoted fighter, clobbered Jake Paul on an event promoted exclusively by Jake Paul's MVP. Before that, in 2024, Joshua appeared on a Queensberry promoted event when he was stopped by Daniel Dubois. Yeah, but the difference is AJ had Matchroom's blessing in participating in those shows, where Frank Warren, I'm not sure he's on board for what they're doing with Fury. He's been effectively cut out of the picture, and I don't think he's happy about that. Of course he isn't. Why do you think he's suing? It is not yet known if Frank Warren, who Boxing Scene can confirm was asked personally by Fury to attend the press conference announcing the Makhmudov fight, will be present in London for the fight itself. Boxing Scene understands that Brown will be assisted by other promoters for the April 11th show, who will be confirmed closer to the event. Leading the undercard is Conor Benn, the recent signing of Dana White's Zuffa Boxing, who takes on Regis Pagarius in a catchweight bout over 10 rounds. Dana White is yet to be involved in a British boxing event, but he has already promoted 4 boxing cards in Las Vegas this year. Should Dana White decide to represent Benn in an official capacity on April 11th, he would have to be approved by the board, but as an established overseas promoter who would work alongside lead promoter Brown, he will not need to apply for a British license. Last month, it was reported that Queensberry was considering legal action to the tune of a $1 billion lawsuit regarding the launch of Zuffa Boxing. Warren alleges that Al Sheikh and Sella, alongside Zuffa's parent company TKO, went behind his back to form Zuffa Boxing, which, he claims, represented breaches to the contracts he had signed with the two entities.
What's the story with the promoter for the Tyson Fury fight week?
Well, I mean, it's a very good question. I mean, Mark Shapiro on the TKO investor call confirmed that TKO are the promoters of that show, or Zuffa. I mean, he can't lie on those kind of calls. But let's see.
You don't think they can be, do you? Okay.
I mean, under Conor Benn's contract, they have to be.
Interesting.
Assigning the lead promoter for a big show like that one, set to go down on a big platform like Netflix, is no small thing. It's indicative of something that it should not be ignored. We were initially led to believe that Zuffa would be at the helm of that promotion, and now it's Spencer Brown? Is this so that Zuffa can avoid being sued by Frank? We know that Goldstar aren't actually the ones financing the show. We know it's not really Spencer Brown's party, but why do they want it to appear as such on paper? And Conor Benn? Whatever agreement he's reached with Zuffa, multi-fight deal or otherwise, Zuffa can still appear to be his promoter on paper, not dissimilar to how Matchroom appeared to be Anthony Joshua's promoter on paper in the fights that he had with Jake Paul and Francis Ngannou. They can probably finagle that, but the bit about Zuffa being behind the entire show, confirmed by Mark Shapiro, how are they going to finagle that? What's happening behind the scenes? Because something definitely is. War. A secret war. We knew things were going to get ugly, as veteran boxing scribe Dan Raphael said, "Never a dull moment in the Opataya IBF saga. Earlier this evening, I received a text from a number I didn't recognize, with a legal letter apparently sent from Vegas lawyer to a very high-ranking boxing official calling for records preservation due to a possible lawsuit against the IBF. Here is a portion of the 3-page letter. Mr. Opataya has good reason to believe that the IBF's abrupt decision to withdraw the product of coordinated, industry-wide collusion designed to punish him for working with Zuffa Boxing and to deter other athletes from doing the same, aided and abetted by other sanctioning bodies and promoters. The IBF's action intentionally inflicted or threatened to inflict significant financial and reputational harm on Mr. Opataya. He is aware of messages between high-level executives essentially admitting to the scheme. Eddie Hearn, chairman of Matchroom Boxing, has publicly stated that sanctioning bodies would make a stance sooner than you think, and Jai will get stripped. Days before the IBF withdrew its sanction, and IBF president Daryl Peoples' written and verbal statements about disrespect and embarrassment show that the IBF had no legal basis to withdraw its sanction, but instead did so out of retaliation, fear of marketplace competition, and to intimidate Mr. Opataya and other boxers. Just to discourage them from signing to Zuffa. They know that Zuffa's got the kind of war chest to where they can make a lot of offers to a lot of fighters to get them to come over. So how do you stop that from happening? The IBF and its co-conspirators face substantial civil and criminal liability to Mr. Opataya. You are receiving this preservation notice because Mr. Opataya believes you possess documents, communications, and information related to his potential claims against the IBF, Mr. Daryl Peoples, WBC, WBA, WBO, Matchroom Boxing, other entities and individuals. Accordingly, remember when I told you this is a more expensive problem than the IBF needs? In addition to the obligations, you already have to maintain and preserve documents under applicable law. Mr. Opataya hereby demands that you maintain and preserve any and all documents and communications in your possession, custody, or control that in any way refer, reflect, or pertain to Mr. Opataya, the Opataya versus Glenton bout, and any other boxer who is negotiating or signed with Zuffa. This is what I told you. Even if Jai Opataya himself doesn't have as much marquee value as a Canelo in the United States or an Inoue in Japan, he's got some very, very powerful people behind him. And if this was an attack on him, it wasn't just him, it was an attack on them. On Zuffa Boxing. They can afford this fight. They've got the money. But does the IBF? And if they are in fact colluding with all the other sanctioning bodies and all the other game in town, and this can be proven, it can be very expensive poking the bear. Very expensive. Though because this legal letter insists on the preservation of documents that might imply collusion, that essentially means it's not a slam dunk. They're looking for the breadcrumbs, the paper trail, the evidence. Because they don't yet have it, I said that the IBF to me seemed like they were always going to strip Jai Opataya, and they were looking for a reason to do it. Now, the reason they came up with wasn't really a good one. Because Daryl Peoples felt disrespected, because Daryl Peoples didn't like where the belt was positioned, he didn't feel like it was on display enough. Where did you want Jai to wear it? On his face? They were looking for an excuse to take that belt away from him as punishment for signing to Zuffa, but that's not legally defensible, and neither is feeling disrespected. Not after the sanction and fees already been wired to you, not after your ambassador's already been paid per diem and accepted it, not after the suite's been booked and the fight's been made, and you initially sanctioned this bout. Withdrawing the sanction just makes it look that much more severe, that much more suspicious. Why did you so abruptly withdraw the sanction? Currently, the IBF are deliberating on whether or not they want to let Jai Opataya keep his red and gold title. I think it is in their best interests. Let him keep the belt. Because from the very beginning I've maintained, I'm not sure that the IBF's decision to withdraw the sanction can be defended in a court of law, and the arguments I've heard in their defense... It's little kid stuff. People saying that, well, Dana White said that they weren't going to work with the sanctioning bodies. Moron. They just worked with them. They paid the sanctioning fee, observed all the provisions, even had Jai participate in a second-day weigh-in. But Dana White said. Because Dana White's not allowed to change his mind. Maybe initially they didn't want to work with the sanctioning bodies, and now they do. Does that give you the precedent to strip your long-reigning champion? Jai Opataya is not at fault over what is your professional rivalry with Zuffa Boxing. He shouldn't get caught in the crossfire of that. But Dana White said. It's kid stuff. The arguments I've heard in defense of the IBF's decision to withdraw the sanction, that Daryl Peoples felt disrespected, I don't know where it's written in the IBF's bylaws that Daryl Peoples has to get a certain amount of hugs and a certain amount of handshakes, a certain amount of cuddles, that Jai Opataya has to roll him over and rub his belly, or they can strip him and feed him treats. Where in the IBF's bylaws is that written? Or that he's fighting for a belt that the IBF doesn't recognize? The IBF doesn't recognize the IBO either, but they never gave anybody an ultimatum for fighting for that belt and holding that belt alongside their own, so that if you now use that defense to defend this, it may not hold up, and it's going to seem more and more retaliatory. It's retaliation. It's intimidation is what it is, which is indicative of collusion. You're trying to deter fighters from going over there by hanging Jai Opataya out to dry, by basically suggesting don't sign to Zuffa if you don't want to end up like Jai. Except doing this, I don't think, is defensible in a court of law. Anecdotally, I didn't agree with the IBF's stance, their decision. I don't even think this is how you compete with Zuffa. The way I think you stick it to Zuffa is do what they don't know how to do. Promote big-time shows on a big scale using your know-how. That's how you stick it to them, whereas this, I'm not sure this can be defended. It was a boneheaded move in my opinion.